stood up in the meeting in 1980, and him along with other members of the bourgeoisie said, let's call ourselves African American. Because they said, well, no one in America is an American because everyone here came from somewhere else. Remember, this land was owned by black folks before they stole it, so you can't be an indigenous American unless your skin is black, so that can't work. So you had Italian American, Chinese American, Jewish American, Arab American. So Jesse said, why don't we just be African American? But the problem with that is it sets up a double consciousness. The problem with the African American designee is it gives the illusion of inclusion. The problem with that is it makes it look like you share the same history as everybody else. See, the Italian American chose to come. The Arab American chose to come. The Jewish American chose to come. The Latino American chose to come here and could have left whenever they felt like it. But the African in America did not choose to come. But there's another far deeper problem with the African American designee. Spiritually, it don't work. Because you can't be the slave and the slave master at the same time. You can't be the oppressor and the oppressed at the same time. You cannot be powerful and powerless at the same time. You can't be God and the devil at once. So it doesn't work. But because you need to be accepted by white folks, your number one addiction is Europeanism.
Get on.
No, we're not talking hate. Hate no one. That's not us.
No.
Never.
But why do you want to integrate with everybody else but yourself? Have you noticed? We love to talk integration with anybody but black folks. We want to integrate with the Chinese, integrate with the Anglos, integrate with the European Jews, integrate with the Latinos, the Native Americans, the East Indians. But soon when you say, why don't we come together and build up a strong black community? Oh, nah, they don't want nothing. Hey, my husband about to move out into the suburbs. We just got a new house. We the only black people on the block. I had my masters. I can't live in a hood no more. I got my masters. I got to move out. He Muslim. I can't be bothered with him. He Christian. I can't be bothered with him. He Hebrew. He Nawabian. He Moor. He nationalist. He socialist. She AKA. She Delta. She Sigma Gamma Rho. She Zeta. Kappa. Q. Man, y'all done woke up now. Have you noticed that every designee we use to fight with each other is purely superficial? Your religion, your choice. Your fraternity, your choice. Your profession, your choice. Where you live, your choice. There's only one group you belong to that God chose, and that's your race. You are permanently African, whether you like it or not. And what's wrong with being African? Let's look at the word now. A-F-R-A-K-A. Let's break it down. Af, the prefix, means from. Ra, one of the original names for God, the Creator. And then Ka. Ka represents the God essence in every person, known as the soul. you are African, you're saying, I'm from God's gut. And don't tell me that God don't want you to look out for your own people. Because when you study this book, Jesus even said, I came not but into the house of Israel. My business is my people first. Even Christ said that. But you gotta be colorblind. And nobody's colorblind but you. You go to the Chinese store, when they're looking for somebody to work in the Chinese store, they put the help wanted sign in Chinese because they know you can't read it. How many times you've been to the Korean old sneaker store and the brother been working in the sneaker store for 20 years, ain't getting raised, ain't got no benefits, and never allowed to touch the cash register, but you don't see God. 99% of the banks in America, 99% of the wealth in America owned by somebody other than Africans, but you don't see color. You being colorblind, and that's why you keep finishing up last, because you're the only people who love everybody else as much as yourself. You don't ever love anybody else as much as you love your own community. When Jews come into the room, they come in representing Jewish ideas, the Jewish agenda. Arabs coming in, Arab ideas, the Arab goals. People running around talking about we gotta have a black and Latino unification. Well, first of all, what is the Latino in the first place? Black. But an African who speaks Spanish who don't want to ever be black. My great-grandfather was a Spanish-speaking Cuban. The word Latino, by definition, designates a people of African descent. That's why there's Puerto Ricans darker than anybody in this room. Cubans darker than anybody in this room. Cuba got one of the highest concentrations of African people. Brazil, they speak Portuguese. Largest population of Africans outside of the continent. But nobody wants to be black no more. So the United States government started calling Hispanic in the 1970s because Latinos coming to America would say that they was white. And the white man said, oh hell no. Not with that hair, So he gave them their own title and called them Hispanic. Do your research, they changed the census. In fact, the crazy thing about the census is when you look at the US Census, nearly every racial category is used by another name. Oh yes, Pacific Islander. Pacific Islander. Anybody grow up watching wrestling like I did in the 80s? You remember Jimmy Superfly Snooker? With an afro bigger than Jimi Hendrix? You ain't no damn Pacific Islander, you're African. Then they got Southeast Asians. Really? Have you seen the people of Cambodia? Have you seen the people of Vietnam in the bush? They blacker than you. Hispanic, black people. The whole census is about calling you by another name so they can perfect their campaign of divide and conquer. Separate and rule. Brothers and sisters, nothing wrong with these different groups we belong to. Nothing's wrong with them. I think diversity within the race can be a benefit to the work we need to do for the race, but don't use it to fight against each other. You don't have to be a Pan-Africanist for me to work with you. You just got to be serious about the work. It don't make a difference to me, Muslim, Christian, Jehovah's Witness, it don't make a difference. But are you serious about the work? Amen. Hebrew, Moor, Socialist, Milwaukee, and Pan-Africanists, it don't make a difference. There's some Pan-Africanists I would never work with because they stone-cold hustlers and only looking to make a dollar. So I can't just look at the ideological identity. Right. We all are Africans. And we got to work together because of that. We took a group group trip to Africa this past summer. July 22nd to August 3rd. We was in Ghana. It was a beautiful trip. It was my first group trip. Not my first trip to Africa, but my first group trip. So we coming back, and we in Casablanca, Morocco. And we're watching the news, and we see a notification that there's an Ebola outbreak while we in Africa. So the first thing I did is I called on Jesus. I ain't think they were gonna let me come home. Serious. I said, I think they're pulling this crap to keep me out of the country. We had a layover in Casablanca that was like 5 hours. Then they called me over to the desk. They needed to see my passport again. I said, damn. I thought they were going to try to say that everyone in my group had Ebola. And then they wasn't going to know, because you know they were doing this. They were stopping people from coming back to America. And I thought they was going to flag us, because they did a second security check at the gate, stuff I've never seen before. So everybody looking at each other, I said, oh my goodness. But through the grace of God, we was able to come back. But don't clap too much, because this ain't home, okay? Let's keep it real now. This is greater confinement is what this is. This is Master's house.
I believe it.
But brothers and sisters, don't you find it ironic? Isn't it a bit ironic that at the same time the Ebola outbreak kicked in West Africa, it was like August the 1st, because we came back August the 3rd, so it was about August the 1st. Don't you find it ironic that at that very day, 99% of all the African presidents were in Washington, D.C., meeting with President Obama, having an economic conference on how the United States could do a better job helping Africa? Was it a coincidence that all the presidents of Africa are in D.C.? And it just so happens there's an Ebola outbreak. No, sir. You know what happened? That whole thing was a setup. Get the presidents out of their country, send in the World Health Organization, send in the Center for Disease Control, send in the United States Army bioweapons lab. Brothers and sisters, I predicted years ago at the African American Museum of Philadelphia during the lecture I gave, that if AIDS is not successful in eliminating African life in the United States, they are going to unleash Ebola in the United States. That's why Ebola is coming over here to you. First of all, Ebola and AIDS, both of them were created by the United States Army Bioweapons Lab.
Your government.
Fort Detrick, Maryland. You can ride by it, but you can't get in without a top security clearance. You don't have to believe me. Do your research. First of all, just listen to the name. United States Army Biological Weapons Division. What is a biological weapon? It is a disease that you create that selectively looks for cells that have a higher concentration of
melanin.
When slavery ended in 1865, the United States Congress passed a zero population laws for black folks. They said the percentage of blacks in America must never go up, but should only go down. They decided on a gradual extermination campaign of black folks. Are you aware that at the end of slavery, our population in most states in this country was as high as 30%, 40%, 50%? Now you look at the United States black population, Africans, it's 12 to 17.